Okay. Good morning, everyone. Marhaba. Today I'm really happy to be joined by Maria Kassab. She's a Lebanese Canadian artist and creative director based in Leipzig, whose work has been exhibited internationally from Paris to Washington to Copenhagen. I came across Maria's work on Instagram a few weeks ago, and I knew that I had to reach out to her. Natakallam has a deep bond with Lebanon. One of our co-founders is Lebanese. Many of her language partners and refugees from Palestine and Syria are based in Lebanon. So at the heart of what we do is like a belief in giving voice to those who have been silenced. And Maria's work does this also in a way. It's technically brilliant, but it's also deeply committed to telling stories that deserve to be told. And that is what this space is about. So Maria, ahla wa sahla, and rather than me telling your story for you, I want to hear it from your CV, the list of stuff you did. I know that you grew up between Lebanon and Canada, then living and studying across multiple cities. Now you are where you are. So I would like to hear it from your words, how it began, how did the paths take you to what you're doing right now?
Sure. Thank you. And hello, everybody. And thank you, Juan, for having me. It's an honor. Let me start by I was born during the Civil War in Lebanon. And why the link to Canada is because we had to immigrate in the 90s during the war to Canada, and we lived there for 5 years. And then when the war ended, we came back to Lebanon, to rebuild, and just things were calming down. So I went back to Beirut with my family. I studied there. And during the 2019 revolution in Lebanon, this was like the shifting point where I said to myself, after the revolution, with what happened, and we were part of it, all of us, with artists and people, we were claiming home again because of what wars had brought to Lebanon. And, you felt like a bit of a hostage and a fugitive. But then in 2019, the revolution happened, and something happened also at the end of it. It felt like it was politicized. And that was the day where I decided, okay, I have to leave Beirut. And it was a kind of a rupture. And I decided, to go to Germany and explore different landscape and continue my studies. And I did my master's in photography and art. But that was the kind of the rupture that happened to me during that time, where I had to decide either I stay in Beirut and just relive these continuous turmoil over and over again that started during the 70s, in Lebanon. War never stopped. So, that's it. This is a bit of a small introduction, if you want.
Yeah. Have you felt like a big difference in like this styles of art occurrence based on the places where you've lived as well?
Actually, of course, it's very different. But it's like I also carried with me a baggage I already had from Beirut that inspired my practice. Let's say coming here helped me also develop it, and also when you are away, you see things from a different perspective. You are not in the turmoil itself, but when you leave, you see things from a bird's eye. Your practice language a bit changes, and you become critical of yourself and also of what is happening in our region in a way, and also this rupture carried a lot of baggage in terms of memory, because my work is a lot about image, photography, and image manipulation as well. So leaving and this rupture caused a kind of a fragmented imagery of things. And also it made it more maximized in a way, because when you also live alone, I lived alone by myself, you kind of have a kind of a magnified image of memories you had. I don't know. I used to go back to memories I had when I was a child, when we had to, flee in the car or with my father, my family from place to place in Lebanon. And I would just remember these things, with the wars that are happening now. It's like you go back to what you lived in a way. So yeah, basically.
I really notice you use this word rupture and fragmentation a lot, and I see that in your visual language as well. Like there's a lot of collage and photo montage, and I guess that's intentional as well. So not only the technique
Yeah.
was like a moment was like, okay, this really represents my inner self.
Yeah, exactly. The practice is not finding a solution or something. It's like a questioning, it's a question. You invite the viewer to see my work as how does memory translate as a fragment of incidents that happened in your life. And I use a lot, for example, images from my family, old family albums, a lot of images that I use myself as well. And I try to combine them together and try to bridge these, let's say, I don't know if you can say this in English, this act of presence and absence. And I try to translate this in my work because, memory doesn't come as a linear film or something. It comes as, how do you say this? As ruptures, yeah. As fragments. And this is what I try to build in a composed image, to see like, how is this trauma being translated as an image, as a photography? Yeah.
In the end, I don't know, I like to think of persons as this collection of all these fragments, right? They're always there. So it's nice to see that translated visually as well.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about a piece I really liked, or like a collection. The Future is Gold. I saw it's from 2019. Could you tell me a bit? I mean, I want to share also on screen like some of the
Really?
work. But if you tell me a bit about this, I really liked it.
The Future is Gold. Is it the one with the veils and the
Yeah,
digital? Yeah.
yeah, precisely.
Yeah, I mean, this has a political connotation because from our region, there are, it's about oil, business, and economics and politics and all this. So I thought I would add this golden, how do you say, element to just show this parallelism between politics and gold, and from our region, how oil is something that is the number one kind of cause of political turmoil or whatnot. It's a very old work, and it was an attempt to try to translate this into an artwork.
Yeah, I'm not. That was what I was thinking. This big
And look at what's happening now,
project.
it's like,
It's the same engine that's driving.
yeah. I mean, it has always been, it's not something new, but it's on repeat, if you want to say it.
I like this idea of contrast and
Mm.
ruptures a lot. Growing up in Bogota, I always saw like the city that's very unequal. So you see this like huge skyscrapers, and then you see literally across the street houses made out of like paper, basically. And this is a reality that is so often just ignored or like just put aside
Yeah.
for the outsider in favor of look at the nature, look at the colonial cities. Oh, it's so cute, but it's something that needs to be portrayed. And I saw that a lot of that as well, especially the other work I wanted to ask you about is one that's ongoing, as I understand, the Ecologies of Ruin.
Yeah.
And I mean, starting with the title, like it's very visceral, like ecologies. It speaks of something that's alive, and then you have ruin, which is very much not alive. So yeah, how did you get to this?
Actually, when I was in Beirut, I think, yeah, in January, December, this concept that I'm working on is, because, sorry, I jump from one thing to another, because, when you live here in Europe, you always yearn to get inspiration and whatnot. I mean, it is inspiring, but then, as an artist, you want to also go back to your home and get inspired, try to translate in a way the tragedies that are happening. So yeah, I went back to Lebanon. I took some images, and every time I go, I also look into my family's albums. It's like something that I do every time I go. I flip into family albums. There's something, yeah, that is crazy inspiring, but also, these are testimonies that our album photos during that time are testimonies of the war and politics. So there's something actually that never leaves you in general as a Lebanese person. It never leaves you. It's always like thing that you hold on your back. So I decided this mixture of images I decided to do because as I am not there, and I usually am there when there's problems and I go and take photography works, it's like I'm trying to translate this absence of myself that I'm not there, and also the how do you say, like I'm trying to create as a puzzle what is happening now in Lebanon. Also when you see photos of bombed houses and bombed buildings, you see, the facade of the building, but then there's furniture hanged there, or photos of families that are left after the bombardment. So this was the kind of inspiration that came about with this kind of work of putting images together that don't relate to each other, but that create a certain effect on the viewer or what's happening now in my country.
Yeah, it's apparent contradictions, no? But that is what we're full of as humans now, and create some sort of unity.
Yeah.
So you made me think about the intentionality of album photographies, like old photo albums. Like you had to be so intentional back then to take a picture. Uh, and yeah, I mean, it's something that is a bit frozen in time, this time when we used to do that.
Yeah.
Of course, some people take Polaroids nowadays, this sort of thing. But
Yeah.
the intentionality that's behind a photo album, I feel
Exactly.
like that is also very special, isn't
It
it?
is very special, but also what is really interesting is that usually our family albums as Lebanese, and I'm sure a lot connect with this, are like testimonies of all the wars that happened. Because in my family album, like for example, there are photos of destroyed buildings from back in the days in the 80s and in the 90s, but mainly in the 80s because 1990 we left. So these are like, I had an exhibition last year in 2024, not 2025. It was called It Never Leaves You. It's just to come back to this, it never leaves you. There's always this fracture that you find in your family album, but then you also find it again in the images of the bombarded houses and the displaced of the people. And it never kind of never leaves you. And I hope this will, end soon. But yeah.
It's also very impactful in a way that maybe strict photojournalism isn't. As in, we have been so desensitized to seeing just rubble and like numbers, right? And then the piece of furniture standing next to it, or I don't know, some of the compositions you do where you see a family like there. You remember, okay, who inhabited these places, and these places have meaning attached to it.
Yeah.
Okay, and you have the Beirut series in 2020, right? So were you around there at the time?
Yes, actually, 2020, I left Beirut on the 3rd of August, 2020, a day before the explosion. So the photos you see in 2020 are like the last images I took before traveling to Germany. I was there like the beach images. Yeah, was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so this was like a kind of like a goodbye series image of Beirut.
Well,
But I think because I need to remember, I have so much work, I need to see what
yeah,
was there. Um, so yeah, and I left a day before the explosion. Yeah, that was crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember probably in this album, was there like photos of kind of a fire and
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah,
beach,
yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah, actually,
And you
it's
had done this before.
exactly because I remember also this, I think a year ago, I went to a talk in Berlin. I was in Berlin for that. And it said our artist works predictable. And it was like a discussion about that, like predictable politically, environmentally, and whatnot. And then it resonated with my series before that I traveled with a series of fire montage on landscape and whatnot, and then the explosion happened, and this was really crazy
Yeah,
in a way.
I get goosebumps like imagining
Me too, me
the
too.
moment.
Yeah.
Um, um, I, I mean, you spoke about this already, but I think it's nice to address directly about how the political enters the artistic. I'm not going to ask you whether art can be apolitical, but I'm curious, like, what is your approach to it? Are you intentional about it? Do you let it arrive? Is there a way you work with that?
Actually, it is intentional. Sometimes it comes as a how do you say as a burst, but sometimes it is very thought of. For example, I will talk to you about a series I worked on, I think 3-4 years ago, when there was a lot of femicide, and there still is, femicide in the region. So I got I hate to say inspired, but I wanted to discuss about this and voice this through a series of illustrations. I do also illustrations and paintings. Yeah, illustrations about this. I think, do you know the painting by Caravaggio? I forgot the name. I have to say a trou de mémoire about the decapitating head of.
Solo fairness.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so I based my work on that, and I reversed the gender role, and I made women decapitate. Sorry, it's a bit violent, but it's violent, but it was done as a figurative drawing, naive drawing. So it was a political thing because, you want to voice out women's struggle, women's femicide, and especially when these people are not brought to trial because of certain things that I will not mention. Anyway, so my work is in that way political, for example.
I thought, do you know, there's the other version by, I mean, there are many
Yeah.
depictions, but there's Artemisia Gentileschi.
No, I don't know it.
Gentileschi, the famous artist from, also Italian around the time, very unique because there were not that many. She was the daughter of another artist, or she was an apprentice. Anyways, and art historians like love to speak about it because it's so much more visceral. Like it has become this like symbol of female rage.
Wow, I don't know it. I will look it up. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, no, I really, really recommend it.
Please, it's also inspiring for me, We are having this discussion. So, no, it's great.
And something else I wanted to mention, we have this struggle with the word inspire, right? Because it sounds like it's something pretty,
Yeah,
but
but
it's, I mean, if you think about the word itself, like it's from Latin, right? Inspirare, and it has this thing about taking breath. And like when everything around you is air, you really have to inspire it, no?
yeah.
Maybe it's very abstract, but in my
No,
mind,
on the
you need to
contrary,
breathe something as an artist.
I agree with you totally. I
And
agree with
it's not, it's value neutral. Like you inspire what is around you, you know? You were saying.
So yeah, that's like one example of how you asked me, can my work be political? I'm thinking, yeah, I can talk also about an exhibition I had where I told you about it. It never leaves you. It was also political, and it was me writing correspondence. Okay, so I'm writing correspondence to my dad, who in the 1970s. That was, for example, inspirations I got from my family album where I collected photos of my dad and mom in the 70s, slightly before the war and during the war. That started in 75. So I dedicated this whole exhibition for my father, where I found in his pictures he also traveled to France later on. for studies. He used to write for his parents that he misses them, about Lebanon, and send photos. So I did the same when I went to Berlin. I did this correspondence to my dad, but in the 70s. Like it's a fictional
Yeah.
story where I'm like, Dad, I'm in Berlin. It's Tuesday, for example, 2022. The war, and that was also during the war that was happening at the same time. And I'm like, how is Lebanon? How is Beirut? What are the news? And so I dedicated this whole exhibition for him in a way, where I'm doing correspondence from 2024 to my dad in the 1970s during the wars. It's also a way of politicizing your work, or talking parallel histories in a way,
Was there ever a moment where you maybe tried to step back in terms of like the political nature of art, or what was it always clear to you that you had to do art this way?
It's just, I think it's just there in you, but you develop it in different ways, in different kind of, the language evolves, with also the material you use, because, for example, in this exhibition, it was mainly paintings that I did, and a little bit of collage with my father's images from the 70s. That was the main collages, but it was also paintings that were inspired by the photographs, So it was always there. It was always there. I mean,
It never leaves you.
yeah, exactly. It just morphs into different languages later. I mean, for example, it can be video, film, it can be sound, it can be anything. But this what I like, because now like I'm trying to work with textile and sculpture. So, I like to also try different things and see how these, let's say, traumas or, translate into other how do you say, sorry, other material,
Yeah, I got a media.
media.
You spoke about languages, and wanted to ask you about your relationship with your languages, like your spoken languages. How is that? Do you speak Arabic in your
Yes.
everyday life? I guess you speak French. How is that?
Yeah, actually, I love it. I love it because I don't like to have one fixed thing, or in Arabic, you say, "Manni mutshabsa bishi." You know what that is, I guess. Tashabbus, hanging on something. So I like the idea. I like the idea that, I and many of my fellow Lebanese, we speak many languages. I speak Arabic. I write Arabic. I read also. I don't write very good grammar Arabic because I lived in Canada, and when I came back, I didn't continue my Arabic in terms of grammar and all this, and it's very difficult. But I read and write. I speak French, yes, because I lived there. And I learn German. I speak German, not perfect, but I like it. I like this, this speaking many languages thing. You feel more open, because, for instance, when I didn't speak German, it was very, for example, tough for me. You are alienated. You are alienated. Yeah. It's awful, but it's a feeling that I experienced sometimes with people. And sadly, not everybody is like us. Hey, yeah, we make an effort, or probably they don't speak English, or they don't know. So you have to make the effort, it's a challenge that you do, an effort that you do. But also, I don't have a problem with it. I will do it. I want to learn and I want to speak, and I don't want to be alienated, for example,
Mhm.
So, yeah. And it's important for work and all this.
Of course. That's why the reason I love languages is when you speak to someone their native tongue, you get so much more that comes out of it, or
Yeah.
something different.
Of course, this is true. This is true. I used to say something because uh, I have some German friends or whatnot, but when we talk about something, I say, in my language, you feel it from the bones, from the bones it comes. So it's a bit different for them. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And some things come up also better in German, or whatever. Like some poetry, like from Heine. I don't know. Like you read it in German, it's like wow, and you translate it, it's like meh.
Exactly, exactly. Actually, I love also the German language. I find it so logic and yet powerful, but also there is a softness to it because some pronunciations remind me also of the French pronunciation.
Yeah,
But yeah, for reading, I'm so excited to get better in my German so I can read in the native language of it, all these philosophers and poets that we all admire. Exactly.
yeah. They get the bad reputation of being cold people, but like romanticism. I mean, it's there's a lot there.
Yeah.
But also, like personally, do you feel like depending on the language you speak, something like a different Maria comes out, or different parts of her, rather?
A different part? Not different, an extension, I think. Not so different. It's an extension of you into this other dimension of this other language, but not so totally different. But also you kind of evolve as well in learning languages, and you are more open as you see. You're not alienated in a way, and you evolve. You get to learn other things, and yeah. No, yeah. I agree.
Yeah, and it's enjoyable. I don't know. The fascination I think you have with German, I really have it with Arabic.
Okay.
Like you know that this root qabala, like
Mm.
to accept. And I was like, also it's abel, like to like before, but then I was like, but mustaqbal, because it's in the future. How does that work? And I go into this rabbit hole, and it's just fascinating. Like I love it.
Our
And I do
language,
feel like you extend
yeah,
yourself. You grow.
yeah, it's true. Our language has many branches, man, in Arabic. It's just it does resemble the ornaments,
Yeah, yeah, like in art.
that are designed in our region. Yeah. I mean, sadly, I don't do good in grammar and all this, but yeah, it's also a feeling. Our language is a feeling. It's related so much to our body and our land, and it's all a feeling.
And connected, I think, to language is also the sense of identity, right? And this whole idea of like you've been all these different places, and I wonder like how that affects you personally, like how you see yourself if you do feel at home when you're in Lebanon or now in
Yes.
Leipzig.
Listen, as ghurba, I think my work is how it translates ghurba. This for sure.
Hmm.
This is the language of images, is what translates the ghurba for me. And to be honest, when I lived in Lebanon, honestly, that's my personal opinion, we didn't feel at home because of a lot of corruption, speaking before the war now, because of a lot of corruptions and a lot of injustices that were happening. But then, as I said earlier, during the revolution, we were all united and it felt like claiming home again for us in a way. It's with Lebanon, it's so cliche what I'm going to say to you. It's love and hate relationship. I'm sorry. It's so cliche. It's so cliche. And every Lebanese says this. Every Lebanese says this. But now, especially, like, for example, during this war, like, I have love for my country, because it's being hostage from many points. And yeah, this feeling comes and goes. As for Germany, it took time. But to feel home, but I'm not negative about it at all because Germany was also, in a way, with my experience, it gave me in a way a voice, not to go too much now into politics, a voice to talk about this, about my country. And there's a lot of actually Lebanese here, and I have Lebanese also friends here. So this connection is there, in Germany because of that, because of the connaissance of the people also that I know. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's something that I noticed, um, living also abroad, being part of a diaspora. You manage to find this connection with other people who are in a diaspora, but not necessarily your own. But there's this feeling of shared alienation.
Yeah.
It brings people
Was
together. Of
focusing exactly. I was focusing on Lebanon because we are talking on Lebanon, but
course.
there are so many from all over the world, that you connect with friends from Venezuela and, they are from other parts, and then you connect because of why did you leave? Why did you come here? What are the differences? How are you coping with the language? Because I know a lot that couldn't handle also the language. It's very difficult. I have Iranian friends here that also left because of the same reasons in a way, but now they look back at their home country and then are like, it's also, I think, a love and hate relationship that most of us who leave for a certain reason or just simply, because you want to experience other landscapes, we have ties. We have ties in this sense. For example, quickly I had an exhibition in Malta last year, and all of us were women from Greece, from Morocco, from Egypt, from Iran. They were all also living in parts of Europe, and we connected in a way through our work. There was this interconnectedness of displacement of memory and how we translate this in our work. And it was so fulfilling and so rich. And, you think you are alone, but actually you are not. We are all translating and doing this work in a way because it affected us and it affects our country and people,
Yeah, and it is beautiful. Like you bond over the shared experience of being a stranger, even if you're not a stranger from the same place. And that is
Exactly.
beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's obviously not romanticizing the whole idea of displacement, but there are
Oh,
is what we take out of it, the art we take out of it, the connections we take out of it. It's something that we need to speak about as well,
exactly.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about, I know you need to leave in a bit, but if there's a work of your own that you keep especially close to your heart that is special to you in particular.
Actually, the one that I did about my dad, I would say the show, it's very touching for me.
Was your dad able to see it?
No, unfortunately, he couldn't travel, but when I was in Beirut, I showed him all the pictures and the videos, and no, he couldn't travel to see it. But this is for now something that really means a lot to me, that I go back to because I did a lot of work around probably 30 works that I go back to. And yeah.
One lighting round question also, what is something that you think people have misconceptions about Lebanon?
Better believe it. Sometimes they think there is a desert there. This is very cliche. This is very a misconception that it's oppressed a lot, about also the landscape. The landscape is so beautiful because sometimes, I share a lot about Lebanon when I am there. And I have people writing to me, wow, this exists there, this kind of landscape. So I don't know what were they thinking. I mean, it's the Mediterranean as well. So probably they think it's desert or there's no beach or there's no sea. I don't know, but this is a misconception about the landscape, how beautiful it is, about too much repression and oppression. We don't have this as much as they think. We do in certain places, but there is a certain freedom, unlike probably other places. I don't know. But yeah, what other misconceptions there are? These kind of things. But I think now, with social media and all this, people probably get to see what there is in a way because of us, because we are here and we do the link from Lebanon to here. We try so much to talk about it, and yeah.
Okay, and finally, could you recommend a book for anyone that's watching?
Recommend a book. A lot this writer John Berger. You know him? How to Look at Animals. Now
Okay.
because
Oh, John Berger, the one from like Ways to See.
yes, now I am
Yeah.
reading this book, and it's interesting. It's very interesting. It's about animals back in the spiritual world and now how animals are worn, and about art and animals in the art, and it's very interesting book. That's what I would
All right.
recommend.
Okay, thank you very much. شكرا كتير لوقتك عن
Thank
جد.
you.
Yeah, so go follow Maria, go look at her work because it's fantastic. And it's the kind of conversation that Natakalam wants to keeps going. So thank you so much for being here. Hopefully we'll speak soon.
Thank you so much, Juan. Ciao.